working with Girl Up, I learned that it's very important for women to share their voices and be heard.
Then you become better at problem solving, decision making, identifying potential bias, and advocating for racial and social justice.
Hello, I'm Bonnie Bay. Welcome to the Contrary, a weekly discussion of news and social trends from diverse perspectives. This week, if the future is female, there's still a lot of work to be done to move women into leadership roles. That's where Girl Up comes in. Girl Up is in at least 155 countries around the world, educating more than 250,000 girls about social and economic issues, giving them tools for advocacy and change, and getting them ready to be community leaders making positive change in society. To learn more about this international organization, we're joined by Girl Up USA Director Priestley Johnson and a Girl Up USA Youth Advisory Board member, Tahirah Abdul-Qadir. Welcome to you both.
Thank you so much for having us. We're so grateful to be here to share more about Girl Up and Girl Up USA, and we just cannot wait to share more. Thank you.
You are more than welcome. All right, let's start with your mission. How far behind do you think girls are in terms of leadership education?
I don't think girls are far behind, but I feel like we have far to go. I feel like we need to make sure that girls are at the forefront of decision making, and we see that in the news every single day of women being excluded from the conversation. And we need to do a better job of including them. And that means we need to do a better job of preparing them. And that preparation starts with Girl Up between the ages of 8 and 24. We have girls when they get into middle school, they start their own Girl Up club, and they find other girls that care about issues that they care about, climate change, mental health, so much more. And they get together and they say, we want to do something about the world. And they look at each other and they become each other's leaders. And then they go to high school and start their own club. And then they go to college and start their own club. And they're leaving this trail of leadership behind and looking towards the future and are going into fields that are predominantly male dominated, and they have a support system. And that's what we do, is we create this system where we're not looking for other people to lead us. We're creating those leaders every day.
Tahirah, your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I think that Girl Up is an amazing organization. It's helped me further enhance my advocacy skills and helped me become a better leader.
Well, now, I'm sure you're both aware there's a political movement in this country, part of which is comprised of people who think, girls don't need any more help, that it's boys who are in trouble. Priestley, what do you say to them?
I say to them, I think every group needs their own special place they can get together and really fortify. I think girls, it's important that we talk about girls and we talk about them directly and we allow them to have their own space, because a lot of the times they're looking at the news and they're seeing their bodies up for discussion. They're seeing their lives up for discussion. They're seeing their future up for discussion. And I think they want to be more a part of that conversation. So at Girl Up, we allow them the space and time to be amongst their peers and figure out how they want to tackle these issues in positive and change-making ways. And they do that every day. They have donation drives for period products because they care about menstrual equity. They, go out and do beach shoreline cleanups because they care about the climate. They are girls taking action. They're not just talking about it. They are saying, we don't like what we see, and at this age, we're going to do something about it. And I think especially you talked about the political element of it all. And the girls, they make their own decisions. I'm their director, but they say we want to get more involved. And so we're doing a voter registration campaign to make sure that more girls and more people that support girls' equity are involved in, because your voice matters, and our campaign is called Her Voice, Her Vote. And that is what we're really about, is making sure we're amplifying not only girls and women's voices, but the communities that support us as well.
Tahirah, from where you sit, what have you learned while working with Girl Up about the importance of your voice in American politics today? And do you see that young women and young men are now equal? And as some would say, women don't need any more assistance? Or what is your perspective?
Yeah, I think working with Girl Up, I learned that it's very important for women to share their voices and be heard. I think that as a society, we've gone a long way in terms of equality. However, we still have a long way to go.
How would you say women are still looked down upon in society?
I think that women's voices and opinions are kind of looked down upon. We still have less recognition for our efforts. Things like unequal pay in the workplace and within sports.
Well, Tahirah is being really, really, really kind, because Tahirah has a wonderful background in sports. Tahirah, talk a little bit more about your background, because I feel like everyone should know a little bit more about you and your accomplishments in the sports arena.
Yeah, so I'm a martial artist. I've been doing martial arts for over 16 years now. I'm a second degree black belt in Shotokan Karate. I'm on Team USA for kickboxing, and I'm also an amateur boxer. I've competed all around the world representing the U.S. For kickboxing. I've received a Foot Locker Scholar Athlete Award, and I'm also a representative of Frito Lay's Cracker Jill campaign.
Tahirah, from your perspective, I want to ask you before we get off this topic: has martial arts been for you the great equalizer in sports? In other words, just or even in gender, in terms of gender security, gender safety, do you, because you can practice those arts and because you're so good, does it make you feel more secure walking alone down a dark street at night?
It does. So of course, uh, whenever if you were to be attacked, of course, you're not going to be able to. It's going to be shocking. But having my martial arts experience, I feel more comfortable with the ability to protect myself. Something that my dad always says. He says, "You rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war." So I'm thankful to have that experience and feel like I'm able to protect myself if I were to be attacked.
Yeah, go ahead, Priestley.
I mean, I love that Tahirah is wonderful, but I also think that, as adults, we have our own way to keep girls safe, which is, policies and laws, and making sure that we stay active in our community, and make sure that, when people do bad things, they get punished. And that's a deterrent for the future, and that we're able to keep, that's, in my opinion, another wonderful way we can keep girls safe in our communities. That's how the greatest equalizer is policy change and community and culture change, that we need to make sure our next generation goes into this world feeling safe and secure and able to really conquer the world.
I'm curious, since you raised the issue of policy change
Yeah.
within the context of female security and violence prevention, what are you doing on gun laws or gun control laws?
So I always like to say this: I don't do anything, the girls do things, and they get to choose whatever they care about. And that's the beauty of Girl Up, is like, they say, as a leader, I care about this topic. And each club that is created with Girl Up, they may have different priorities. Like, one will care about gun law and prevention. One will care about menstrual equity. One might be doing donations to their local prisons for menstrual health products. Like, they care about different things, but in general, we care about gender equity. And so I would say, when it comes to gun laws, I think this generation is experiencing it in a very different way than I would even say my generation or even your generation, Bonnie. But
Of course, we
also,
didn't. We didn't have mass school shootings when I
We
was
didn't. And
first.
our job is to listen to them and say, like, what do you want to do about it? Let's get some educated people in here to have a discussion, and let's create a plan together. And that's what they're doing. I mean, they're reaching out to their community people. They're reaching out to people uh, for GBV education, gender-based violence education. They're looking at people for self-defense classes. They're talking about strategic ways to go to their city board office and to advocate for different change in their schools. I mean, but they are leading that charge and they tackle it the way they feel best. And my job is just to pat them on the back and make sure they keep doing it.
Here's one I want to throw at you, since we're talking about gender, and and the organization of the name of your organization is Girl Up. There are plenty, particularly of young people, growing in number. People don't think people are girls or boys. They're
Mm-hmm.
binary. They're on somewhere in between, a combination of all of the above. Tell me about the young women you serve and how they figure in all that.
Well, we are an open environment for all girls or non-binary or non-gender conforming individuals and youth. We have a good amount of girls and non-gender conforming youth that do come to Girl Up and find this as their safe place. So if this is your safe place, we welcome you with open arms. Happy Pride Month. You can find a good place with us. And the girls listen. They're like, they don't only take on issues that are directly affecting them. They take on issues that affect the society they want to create. And that means that they might be at the school board's office advocating for bathrooms that are non-binary. It is their job to say, this is what I want the world to be, and they go out and take action. We're not really about talking. We want to educate, but we also want to transform lives and give them the autonomy to say, I want to do this. And that's really the magic of Girl Up.
Tell me about some of the other tough issues that your um, young women take on.
Well, one that really affects affects a lot of them because of the age range is menstrual equity, and a lot of them see a lot of results in this. They are going, for example, Anshuni, who's another youth advisor. She advocated for menstrual health products to be in schools in Texas. She worked with her senator and advocated over and over and went to meetings after meetings and donated over 200,000 menstrual health products to the school so they can see the impact of, like, oh, girls are using these. This is working, and we need a system that supports this. And to be
Tell me,
honest,
tell me,
it actually has amounted to law change.
me up to speed on this, because when I was a
Yeah.
kid, and God was a baby, there were tampon machines in every girl's bathroom.
Yeah.
Uh,
We're having different experiences with different schools that are able to afford it, and girls that are different, coming from different backgrounds that are not able to afford it. So you can go to one school that has a great supplement budget and can afford products for their youth, and then you go 10 minutes down the street to a school that doesn't have the budget and sees that as supplementary and doesn't have that budget,
I
and
mean,
those
so
people are
so
not
you're
getting
let me
products.
just jump in. Let me jump in for a second. So
Mhm.
you're saying, so it's now become a financial issue. Like,
Yes,
the school should be providing, if the young women can't afford tampons and whatever else they need for their periods, the school should jump in and provide it.
exactly. Because if they're not being provided, girls are using other things to deal with that time of the month. And that is not, that's not how anyone can learn best. That's not a great environment to be learning. You're worried. You're a woman. You know that feeling where it's like, okay, I'm not sure if today is going to be a great day, but I don't think girls should have that. 7 days out of every month. I think that and I think girls really are care about that experience. Even if they have the privilege to get their own products, they're always thinking about, oh my gosh, they're having that same experience, starting their periods, feeling like they're feeling that first, few months, and they're like, oh my gosh, other girls are feeling this and don't have the resources, and they're going out of their ways to do that. They also donate to prisons that may not have menstrual health products, and use it a way to punish inmates because they don't have money on their books to purchase these products. It could be punitive. And it's really important that we are thinking about the most needed communities when it comes to menstrual equity. And the pink tax is also a thing as well, where menstrual health products are taxed more, and are not seen as a product that should be, I guess, is a part of our life. It's an addition, they think, and it's honestly a way of our life of making sure that we sustain our own health.
And Tahirah, your thoughts on this topic? Are you involved in menstrual equality at all? Or do you have any good stories about having talked with other girls in the program,
Yeah.
etc.?
So I was previously the events director for my tri-state area coalition, for Girl Up, and we did a lot of we talked a lot about period poverty. We also raised a lot of funds and collected donations to create care packages for the homeless, where we included period products.
Interesting. Okay. Um, so, tell me about the racial and economic makeup, Priestley, of Girl Up. Are Because you go by poverty, and there are white girls who are impoverished. Do they make what kind of percentage of your organization do they make up, or none at all? Is it uh, strictly or is it aimed more towards girls of color?
I don't think it's aimed towards girls of color or any specific group, to be honest. Girl Up is really for a lot of different girls, and they all come from very different backgrounds. They may have like a heavily immigrant background, or they may be very privileged and know about us. I think one really awesome thing about Girl Up is that we do get a little bit of a name recognition because of our affiliation with the United Nations Foundation, and that is one of our founding, and we're a founding initiative by them. We don't receive funding from them, so if you want to support us, I think that would be wonderful. But we are that's really an origin of them, and one thing that's great is that girls from any background, our job is to talk about the issues that are facing them all, and they all are definitely having different experiences. So Girl Up really becomes that safe haven where they find community, find a safe place to grow, and they're able to really thrive after being in Girl Up programming.
You talked about girl immigrants and immigrant
Mhm.
communities, and one. I don't want to get into the whole Gaza Israel thing. That's a separate issue. But tell us about the special needs of Islamic, girls from Islamic immigrant families. What are you doing for and with them?
I think their needs is the same needs as other girls, which is community. It's finding girls that literally will accept you and be your best friends after meeting you the first time. I mean, one thing that is really stellar is that we just had our leadership summit, and I mean, girls got on planes by themselves to come to LA and meet each other for the first time by themselves. I mean, it was so stellar, and they came in so shy and like, oh my gosh, is this the right place for me? I know, like, we care about the same things, but will these girls like me? Will they talk to me? What's up? And after 2 days, we had them, I mean, they became fast friends, and that is the goal, is that they leave knowing that they felt seen and heard, and we talk about the issues that they care about. And one thing that happened was that our summit also also fell on World Refugee Day. So we were able to have an open discussion about what does that look like. And we have girls around the world experiencing that same plight. And our job, especially sitting from a place of privilege, is to say, this is a reality. This is something that's happening. And my job is to open their eyes to other perspectives, other lifestyles, and allow them to be the best leaders possible. Because how can you be a best leader if you're not always learning, if you're not always opening your eyes to different lived experiences? Because then you become better at problem solving, decision making, identifying potential bias, and advocating for racial and social justice. So my job is to make sure that there's diversity of experiences at the table. And I always look to do that more. So if you are, from other communities and you're like, hey, I'm not sure, will Girl Up take me? I feel like we'd love to have a conversation with you. You can start a Girl Up club anywhere in your schools, as long as you're between the ages of 13 to 24. We'd love to have you.
Tahirah, please weigh in with your experiences with immigrant girls you've met through Girl Up, and what their needs are and how you're working on that.
Mm-hmm. So, Girl Up is a really diverse organization. I've had the opportunity to meet with girls from all over the world and hear their experiences in their home countries. I think that it's really unfortunate that in a lot of different countries, they have unequal access to certain resources and opportunities that we have here in the U.S. and opportunities and resources that are taken for granted here in the U.S. So a couple of things I've done as an activist: I've raised funds to create libraries for remote villages in Africa. I've raised funds to provide food for communities in Cambodia. And here in my hometown, I've tutored at my local refugee center. So I've taught basic English, math, social studies to immigrants who are trying to get adjusted to their communities.
All right, so tell me, this was fascinating, Priestley, about the menstrual equality discussion. Tell me about some other issues that you have been able to raise and help girls work on and get out there and start to try to change public policy that the public wouldn't usually think of as something that affects girls. We know about girls in sports, certainly from Title IX having been around now for decades and made great changes, but we still, even with the brand new stars of the women's professional basketball, they still don't have the budgets. They still don't make the salaries that the men do. But what other issues are there out there that you want to talk about that are not front and center?
Well, one thing is money. I mean, I think we have to talk about money and access to money. And one thing that really was wonderful at our leadership summit was that we had a pitch competition. This was our first one where we were able to give girls money. But the wonderful thing about it was that we had judges from different industries weigh in, ask the girls questions. I mean, these girls, they did little prep with us, but they did a lot of prep on their own. I mean, leadership displayed. They came out and they were able to jump on the stage, say the issues that they care about. They are talking about AI. They're talking about leadership in STEM. They're talking about all of these other topics. And they go on the stage, they do their pitches, and then they get feedback from the judges. They're asked hard-hitting questions. How do you really want to do this? Where do you see this going? And then the decision makers in the room are the girls. The girls get to vote on which pitch was the best one that deserves the highest amount of money. And that is the position that we're putting girls in, is that they become decision makers on how money is distributed. These are our next generation of financiers that are going to be the sponsors, that they're going to be decision makers on where money goes to for what issues. And I'm putting them in those situations at an early age so that they're not scared to make those decisions. And I think that there's a little bit of fear sometimes when you get older, like, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to, I don't want to like keep someone from an opportunity. But we also have to say, in reality, what issues are we able to do with this finite budget and get them into those positions earlier than later? Because then they grow up and be like, I actually like that. I liked being able to say that maybe this one deserves it a little bit more and work on that topic. And now we're going to like help thrive and push this business. These are the future venture capitalists, so much more, and they're able to really do that through these small experiences that open their eyes to new opportunities.
Tahirah Abdul-Qadir, close it out for me. What have you learned about earning money, saving money, investing money, and becoming independent, providing for yourself, not looking to a man or a partner or whomever else for financial support at Girl Up?
So at the USA Leadership Summit, we had an amazing workshop from Berna and Nat. We learned how to recognize our wants versus our needs and how to categorize those certain how to categorize and make well-informed decisions based on those categories.
Thank you so much, and thank you to you, Priestley Johnson, for all the work you do and for joining us today. That's it for this edition. Keep the conversation going on all our social media platforms, and please visit our website, pbs.org/to the contrary, and whether you agree or think to the contrary. See you next week.
Funding for To the Contrary provided by the E. Rhodes and Leona B. Carpenter Foundation, the Park Foundation, and the Charles A. Freoff Foundation.
For a transcript or to see an online version of this episode of To the Contrary, please visit our PBS website at pbs.org/to the contrary.
You're watching PBS.